Hey guys, it's Mr. Fernando, and today we are going to be going over estimating square roots. So in the last video, we should have seen that we were simplifying square roots. Simplifying square roots so that we get answers that kind of look like 5 times the power of, 5 times square root 2 or something like that, right? And preview to what this answer is, right? But sometimes we don't want to just simplify. We want to understand the number. What do I mean by that? Well, right here, I have 3 examples, right? I have 3 examples of square roots. So I'm gonna start writing some of these answers down. Square root of 49, that's a perfect square. That would equal 7, right? I'm gonna jump over here, because this is another perfect square. Square root of 64 is 8. I know that, it's a solid number. Now, if you use the strategy that we just learned about in our last video or in class, you would know that if you factored this out, you would end up getting 5 root 2. That would be what you end up getting for this. Again, just showing that, right? This would end up being 5 times 10, which would end up being 5 times 2. You grab your pairs, goes on the outside, 2 is left alone. And there it is, right? 5 root 2. Now, yes, that's awesome that we simplified this this square root, but does this number mean anything to you? Does this number mean to anyone? If you show this to your parent, if you show this to a guardian, would they even know what they're looking at? No, right? So estimating is when we actually give it a real number, a number that we can maybe understand. Now, I did these ones on purpose. I have the square root of 49, which gave me a solid answer. I have the square root of 64, which gave me a solid answer. And I have the square root of 50. The number that I'm asking is in between 49 and 64. So it makes sense, right, that the real answer, like the number, would be in between the numbers 7 and 8. So this is where we kind of like guess, a little bit of finesse. What this is truly roughly about, right? If I had to guess, it's so close to the square root of 49 that it's kind of like 7.1, right? You could say that it is just barely a little more than the square root of 49. So my guess is that it's 7.1. That's estimating. Use your knowledge of perfect squares to give yourself a guess or an estimate of a square root. So watch this one, for example, right? This is where maybe knowing your square roots might be coming in handy. I definitely always recommend having your square roots just kind of written down or have it, known. Let's go over a few, right? So let's say I wanted to do, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna go to a different page. One that I've already erased some of this for. And let's say I wanted to know, what is this? What is this number? Well, again, it's not a perfect square, so I'm not quite sure, but the perfect squares that it's next to, right? If I went to my chart, you would see that it is between square root of 100 and the square root of 121. This number is in between square root of 121, and it's in between 100. So 100 would be a square root, would be 10. This is the square root, and it'd be 11. So I know my answer has to be in between 10 and 11, right? And so this is where you have to kind of think to yourself like, where is it closer to? Is it closer to 121, or is it closer to 100, or is it right slab in the middle? Well, between these two numbers, I have a difference of 8, and over here, I have a difference of 13, right? So that means this number, it's just barely closer to 121, which tells me then that if 10.5 is exactly in the middle, it means I'm slightly more than that. I'm slightly closer to 121, which would mean that I'm gonna say that this is roughly 10 point, I don't know, let's do 10.7. I would say that is a good estimate for what this is. It's an estimate, it's around 10.7. On this one, again, I got square root of 44. That is in between 36 and the square root of 6, so that would be 49. Those are my two perfect squares that I'm in between. So the difference here being, this between 6 and 7. From 36 to 44, that would be 8 numbers. From 44 to 49, that's going to end up being 5 numbers. So again, it's closer to larger to 49. So I'm going to say that this is probably roughly about 6.6, or I'm sure you guys all love it. It's roughly about 6.7. That's a real number that we can think of. We could factor it, but that's roughly the real number. And then one last time, again, if this was my number, this is in between the number square root of 64 and it's in between square root of 81. So it's in between the numbers 8 and 9. Difference here being that it is closer to the 9. It's only 4 numbers away. It's like, I would say it's closer to 9, meaning that I'm going to end up giving it something like roughly, 8 points. I don't know, 8.7. It's closer to that. You might even be able to say even more than that, maybe 8.8. But that's estimating. You're taking a good, educated guess and understanding between square numbers to say what is a realistic number that it could be without factoring.